can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, the next thing on the annual town meeting agenda is to approve minutes of the April 16, 2024 annual town meeting. No, I don't think so. And then this would be coming from one of the citizens, is what we're looking to entertain a motion.
I'm a citizen. I make a motion to approve the April 16th annual town meeting minutes as posted on the website.
I second that motion.
And that's Lacey Bowman. If you can help Carrie Lee out with names, that would be great. So if you just want to give your name. Okay, any further discussion regarding the minutes? Okay, and then we're just going to do a vote with a show of hands if everybody's okay with that. So all in favor, and you have to be a town citizen in order to vote. So all in favor of approving the board meeting minutes from 2024, please raise your hand.
Right, somebody's got to stand up and count.
Yeah, okay. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hands are still going up. Okay, let me restart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 24 with you, yes. Anybody opposed in approving those
What
minutes?
is it, 24?
24. What was that? Anybody opposed to the minutes? What was your comment?
I just asked what the count was.
Oh, she just asked what the count was. Okay, so motion passes for that. Thank you. The next thing on the agenda is going to be the citizens' concerns. So now is your chance to take the time, and with the amount of people here, we're going to limit it to 2 minutes per citizen, just so we can get through everybody and get out of here in a reasonable time as well. So if you want to raise your hand, and then I will acknowledge you, and just state your name, please, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
Bob Weiss, and I'd like to say thanks to Lindsey Bowman for running the recall election.
Thank you. Lacey?
So I was doing my research and I was coming to propose the idea of maybe raising the election pay for the election workers. We're the second lowest in Marquette County.
We'll just give Carrie Lee a minute to get caught up here. You have one too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, can I address it quickly? What happens with any compensation that's paid to anybody that's with the town, that compensation has to be approved by the, as a part of a town meeting.
Yeah.
So what we would have to do, we can't.
You can't act on it now.
We
I
can't
understand
act on
that.
it now. All we can do
It's
is,
considerate.
well, we have to put together a proposal that this is what it should be based on, this is why we should do it,
Okay.
and how much it's gonna cost us, because if we don't have money to pay for
Yeah.
additional, we don't wanna be doing it.
I can
So-
send you what I have too.
Right, so anything you share, that
Okay.
way, that's what we put together is a proposal, which then goes to the
Yeah.
town meeting, probably not until, well, I'm not sure when the town meeting
Okay.
would be called
Okay,
to address that.
that sounds good.
Okay. Okay. Jane, you said you had something to
Yeah, I propose that we do not spray the ditches this year. We sprayed the ditches last year. It didn't work. We ended up mowing them anyway. And people pick asparagus. I mean, why are we killing the ditches when it's not working?
Yeah.
Okay, she just said that she wants to not spray the ditches, or she wants to raise it up to not spray the ditches because of the asparagus that grows and people who pick asparagus, and it doesn't work anyways. To spray the ditches, they end up mowing them, so she just wanted to let us know that. John, go ahead.
Yeah, jump in. I just told the brush and whatnot, been taking care of the brush. And most of that asparagus, you know, it was after most of the asparagus were picked in the spring. And it was cheaper than the mow, so that's why we went that option.
Okay, thank you. Tammy, go ahead, sorry.
So we're moving on here now, correct?
Okay, hold on 1 second, sorry.
Okay, and it was
Tammy.
Yep.
Okay,
So we're down to mowing conditions like once a year, right?
So she's gonna.
So, I'm gonna see if we call, or, yeah.
Well, I don't think they should spray at all.
You're talking about spraying
It's not
or mowing?
working.
No, I'm just asking, as a citizen, how many times do we mow?
I
With
believe,
our spraying, helping cut down the mowing costs, whatever.
Yes, it did.
So is it cheaper the way we're doing it?
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of money in our township.
Yes.
sure.
I don't know how it cut down on, there was, the grass was tall, it wasn't dead. It didn't, how did it cut down anything?
I can look into it.
I disagree.
Okay, I did see more hands go up. Bucky, go ahead. Pat?
The spray we use for the ditches is systemic, specific herbicide. It's not for the grasses, it's for the brushes. It helps keep down the box elders, some of the red willows, some of that thing that's once established. It's very hard to keep the ditches clean. It's really not designed for the grasses so much as it is for the brush. You don't spend money on the spray now, you'll end up spending it 10 years from now on the brush.
Okay.
Tenfold.
Sure. Good. Okay. Okay, and I'm sorry, I don't know what your name is. Okay. John Fulmer?
Yeah.
Okay.
My concern has to do with the village hall. Maybe many of you don't know the history of it, but it's a 158-year-old building. The descendants of the original settlers. The reason it became a town hall was to preserve the building. So, I mean, the board can meet wherever they want. But I read at one meeting that he said they were going to clean it. I want to make sure the board's going to maintain it. I know a couple of the descendants are working on getting it listed as a state historic on the register and national list. So that and the original Hamilton homestead.
Okay. Okay.
And there's a couple people working on that will be made. As long as the board's going to maintain it, building not just let it go downhill.
Yes. Okay. Sure. Okay. Go ahead. Yep.
Mary Palmer, what is the rationale for moving the meetings to this building, which is a very large shell of metal building, and acoustics are very poor, and lighting was very poor for the building?
So we had moved them over here, and that's good to know about the voting because we can always bring lights in too if we do continue to have them over here. But we had moved them over here. It's like obviously it's a bigger space. We would have been crammed in there for like right now, and then also heating that building would be absolutely horrible in the winter. Like there's so much heat that comes out with it being such an old building that we would have had to do some sort of remodel or something like that or something to try and keep the heat in there.
It's really cheaper to heat this huge building?
Yeah.
But if you're not going to use the winter time, you're not maintaining the building. That's the problem. You got to keep a minimum temperature in there.
Okay. Anybody else? John?
As far as that building over there, we remodeled it, so to speak, and got it up to date, and all this and that. As far as heating, we put the windows in and everything else, it isn't costing as much as you think. If you're worried about so-called having meetings over there in the summer, and you don't have to heat it and whatnot, versus in here.
Sure.
You can't hear it.
Sure.
Where's
Well,
the building?
I do know that we have on the regular board meeting about hiring somebody for cleaning, and it would be for cleaning both buildings, so if that makes you feel better as well, for like upkeep and keeping up with the building, that's one of the options that we
Why
have.
do you need to have somebody when you're not using it?
Well, just so we can keep it clean and keep it up and keep it nice.
I mean, no, so totally against having meetings in here versus over there.
Okay, Mabel, yes.
I found this very interesting on the internet. I asked a question, if an old fire station is owned by the township, in Wisconsin, can it still be named the fire station? And the answer was, if an old fire station is owned by a township in Wisconsin, it can still be named a fire station. The township has the authority to provide fire protection for the town, including establishing a town fire department or joining with another town, village, or city to establish a joint fire department. So this building could still be named the fire station.
Okay, that's something I could look into.
That's right. You're right.
Lacey?
I won't argue that one at all. I agree 100% with you on
To
that.
piggyback on that building being remodeled and nice and warm, when we worked the February election, I was freezing the whole day and we had the heat on. It was so cold, and anybody that worked with me can testify for that one as well. I was wrapped up in a blanket, we had the heat on, it was super, super cold in that building. On election day, it was about -30 through the night, and then during the day, it got just above 0, and it was cold over there. So I was happy that we had it over here for the last election.
The only problem I had over here with voting is when I came in, the lights were so dim, I couldn't even read.
So there's a couple voting boxes that have lights built into them.
They were on.
So we can adjust that for the next election as well.
The lighting's better, not a problem.
Okay, good to know. Sharon?
Actually, I would first state that at an annual meeting, you can't limit the number of times a person talks, or limit them to 2 minutes.
Okay.
Make that clear. But the reason I'm talking to you here right now and not at the next meeting when the new chairperson takes over is that the town has failed to provide the documents that are requested under an open records request on March 17th. The typical timeline is 10 days for a response. I received a couple of documents from
It's a lie, like everything else she spews.
and I requested. At this point in time, under chapter 19 under mandamus law, I can file a complaint to the circuit court to get those documents
Okay.
presented to me. The other thing is, are you gonna wall discussion when you move to approve the 2024 financial report? Or do you
Yes.
want me to comment now?
No, we can have discussion then too, but if you have something to say, you can say it now.
I'll wait until we have discussion.
Okay.
I think one of the things you should know with transferring the meetings over here is that it is very difficult to hear. It's been very cold in here on multiple occasions when I've been here for meetings. And the next step with the town hall next door, with the upgrades to the electrical, the internet, and everything else, was to move to having Zoom meetings in there. We didn't have the opportunity to continue on, of course, since September, and present that to the membership. But Zoom meetings was of importance to everyone. And it would not cost $8,000, $9,000, I think was the number that Keith or somebody mentioned when they checked into it. And you can easily seat 25 to 26 people in that building. I think that it's a travesty not acknowledging the history of this town and the founding families. And I think with your name alone, Bennett's, Johnson's, Fulmer's, Macon, Hamilton's, I could go on and on, that these people took care of that building, cherished the building, and now, according to Carol, she just wants to
Need a
shut down.
tissue?
That was stated as a thing. I just want to shut down. You know, there is another way to do it. You could have elections here. You could have bigger meetings, an annual meeting or a budget hearing meeting where you expect more people traditionally. But the numbers you've been getting at a regular town board meeting, 10 to 20, could easily be maintained in that building and still offer Zoom options.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
I just had one other comment was, at the November budget meeting, when I asked about the funding for the road, the grant money, I was told at that meeting that it was all gone. I've since learned that it's not gone, it has good for 5 years. So it's up to the town board to come up with plans to repair roads to take advantage of that money. And I hope everybody on the board is aware of that now. And if you don't, it's a real disservice to residents. Leave that $450,000, you know, pay for part of the road repairs.
Sure.
And we need to work on that.
Okay, okay, thank you.
We should be more of this. It's a nice building. We just put the sign up. Yeah. There you go. We saved it.
Does anybody else have anything?
I might have one safety issue that I'm concerned about. We're getting a large influx of Amish into the area,
Oh.
and I don't see any slow-moving vehicle signs on their buggies, and I don't see any lights. And I think one of these days, you know, it just scares me that, but, you know, we always hear reports about vehicle, buggies, things. Maybe we need an ordinance requiring lights and at least a slow-moving vehicle sign on those buggies. You know, we've got some hills,
Yeah.
and they go on town roads and they go on county roads, and I don't know how the county is dealing with it, but I haven't seen any action by the county, but
Sure.
maybe we can work with the county and see if there can be some type of a ruling made, because there is,
How are they, do you know how they are doing on the taxes? How do they do property tax on it? I have no idea.
just like everybody else.
No difference.
Because I believe there's a family living, one or two families living in that building across from that kitty corner from the haystack now.
Yeah, there is. They converted that
That's about
one
2
shed
weeks
into a
ago.
home.
Well, that was converted before.
I don't know if they're living in it, whether it's a,
Yeah, they're living in it.
I don't know what that's something that I think the county deals
I live in
with.
a shed.
I have no idea.
Just
One right
It
there.
would be a zoning issue with the county.
Right, it would be a
Who's the
zoning
victim?
issue with the
Who's
county
the
if
victim?
the building is being occupied by somebody and if they didn't get the proper building permits to do that, then it's a zoning issue for the county.
So how would anybody know that though, if nobody?
Someone would snitch.
Yeah, somebody snitch.
I mean,
That's what you do.
You can go snitch.
If you have a question about it, you have every right to call the county to find out if it's, how it's been
No
zoned.
victims.
I don't have an issue with it, I'm just
Well,
wondering
but any,
what the procedure is, that's all.
We've got nothing better to do
They
than sleep
do
around and drive
the
around.
chimneys, they put in a chimney, they're cooking and eating in there. They're living there. There's kids running around.
Yeah, but the guy, the people that live in Morgan did that too.
Let them deal with it.
Yeah, there's a well there.
I know.
There's electric.
I think the deer should have snow.
Okay, does anybody else
signs
have
on them.
anything? Larry, I think your hand might have went up. Do you have, yeah, go ahead. Larry, your last name's Miller, right? Larry Miller?
Larry,
Okay.
right. Yeah, my name's Larry Miller. My wife Jackie and I are just moving into Westfield over by Lawrence Lake. We've been aware of, our property is adjacent to the access on Dalkey Road, and we've been aware of the movements of the barriers and stuff over the last year. Say thank you to the township and the county for the way they handled that. They were there, they were removed, and everything's fine. We just noticed that somebody's gone through there and trimmed up some of the trees in that area. We thought originally it was the township, but apparently it may not be. In the trimming process, they cut down a number of smaller trees on our property. We're not really happy, we're not upset about the trees, although I would prefer not have them cut down. But next week, we're going to take possession of a bunch of trees from the county. They sell little saplings, and we're going to get a bunch of those and put them around our property. And part of it would be that barrier between us and the access.
Are you 33 feet from the center line?
What's that?
Are you 33 feet from the center line of the road?
center line of the road.
Of the road. You had 33 feet on either side of the center line of the road is not your property.
So I think he's talking
Yeah,
about
but
like,
Now, this was.
Pay tax, it's not a road.
33 feet.
so he owns some property right next to where we were doing that issue with the bigger.
Oh, yes, okay.
And I think it sounds like.
Oh, it's down deep.
Down more towards the lake a little bit from the right side.
That's
Is my understanding.
Like I say, it's not a huge deal to us for not to have.
He
it
just
cut
doesn't
down.
want to cut down.
Well, I don't think we had anything to do with that.
No, and that's what I was thinking, is I
Maybe
haven't.
somebody else did it so they could get in with their vehicles, maybe?
It could be, I mean, that's kind of what it looks, it's the bigger trees, they really go up to about 10 feet. And then the smaller trees, they just cut down.
And you had said that it wasn't like that on Saturday, but it now is. Is that what you said?
Right, this happened in the last
If
week.
you just want to make a note that it's sometime between Saturday and today.
I wonder if it was the county.
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering, is I didn't know if it was the county or not. Yeah, I'll go ahead and look deeper into it. Sherry, go ahead.
I'm just gonna comment on Mr. Miller's information. Keep in mind that there were 8 property owners who felt that that was their personal lake access until last year. So they tend to kind of do what they want when they want. The other thing was that I wanted to point out that you need to have the proper signage there for public access, and you probably need to have the fishing regulations posted there as well.
Okay,
Just like you see on the north and south holding, so you might want to look into that.
okay, we will definitely do that.
But you're gonna probably want to watch what people do over there.
And I would think if you see somebody over there doing that, call the sheriff's
I beg your
department.
pardon?
I said, if you see somebody over there doing that, call the sheriff's department.
Okay, yeah, we never saw anybody. Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else as far as citizens' concerns on anything?
The other concern is, we live on the hill, of course, right across the road. We got some bright lights shining from the back of this building.
Okay,
It's on 24 hours a day, which seems a bit ridiculous. Any plans to make that a, nighttime, daytime light?
we can look into making it a nighttime, daytime light, or, just like a light that comes on at night.
This seems strange to have it on all day long, too.
Sure. Just give me 1 second, we'll let Carrie Lee get caught up and then it'll be on to you. And you'll have to remind me of your name, please. Okay, you good? Okay,
My name's Brian Martin. Regarding not using that building, you can get away with that with the barns and sheds, but we learned at the Historical Society when I was active there, they tried that for a season, not heating it, and due to the moisture that builds up inside the building, it causes severe damage to it.
okay.
And the damage the following year was very extensive. We had the right grants, get grant money to help to do the repairs inside the store.
Okay, thank you, that's good to know.
That's been caused by the building like that.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, but what does the temperature
I
have to
don't
be
think
in there?
that they're talking about not heating it. We're just
Like
keeping it
55?
at the temperature we were
45 or
in
50?
there. 55. Yeah, exactly. 50.
Okay, does anybody else have anything?
Moving on.
Last call for anything else? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
Sharon, go on.
I just wanted you to know that, I wasn't even aware that this building was unlocked for a couple of days. And that there were some comments made that the lights had been kept on because somebody tried to use a crowbar to open the doors. I reported it to the sheriff's department after attempting to get a hold of board members without timely response. And the sheriff's department did come out here, they went around the building, they checked for evidence of someone trying to break into the building with a crowbar. They did come inside this building, walk through the whole building, check through everything. But I really think it's a serious issue that the doors are being left open.
How'd they get in this building? How did they get in this building?
The door over there was left open.
Yeah,
Who found the door unlocked?
that's what happened. That's why they were wedged open, so we could come and make a
Why would
complaint.
they call you?
Yeah.
Why did they email me and call like a quick response, I guess, maybe you should check into that. I'm just stating that that's a serious issue if doors are being left open.
Do you know what day that was?
I reported it, I believe, Monday.
Okay.
It was open last week, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
And then I tried to reach out to everybody. You did respond to me later in the afternoon.
I do work a full-time job and I didn't have my phone, so.
I get it.
Yeah.
So I just want to make it clear that I did report it to the sheriff's department because I felt that
She needs to go back.
Okay, thank you. We can definitely look into that too.
Yeah. All I need to see is the bubbles coming out of her
Does
mouth.
anybody else have anything?
That's all I wanna see.
All right, last call for anything else?
God, what a bitch.
I'll have a beer.
You'll have a beer?
Yeah.
Well, we don't have those here, so you're out of luck. Alrighty, well with that then, we will close down the citizens' concerns and we'll move on to the new business. Being the approving the 2024 financial report. Everybody should have gotten a copy of that. Carol,
And I just want to make a couple comments on the financial statement. This is the only copy of the financial records this is the only financial statement that's going to be made available for 2024. This is our final report of our revenue and expenses. So this is the only document that's going to be available. Once it's approved tonight, then it will be published on the website. The format of this report looks a little different from what some people may expect. I want to point out that the reason why it's this way is this is the format that follows our CT schedule that we have to file with the Department of Revenue. So what the odd thing in here will be, it shows tax collections of $1.6 million. That's how much money the town collected for tax levy, but that only $200 and some thousand applies to the town. The rest of it goes to the school district, the Lake District, to other entities that where we collect the money.
Could you maybe move forward a little bit that way so more people can hear you, because we can hear you here, okay?
Okay. So the tax collection number is 1.6 million. That's collections that are made to the town when you pay your tax bill, but it covers everybody. It isn't just the town. And then what we show on the expenses is taxes paid of 1.3 million. That's how much money we paid to the other entities as their share of the taxes that were collected. I know people have been asking about the LRIP grant and how much money we've gotten, and you want to take a look at this and compare it to the budget. What you see here is just the $12,100 that was received. We're expecting another $145,000 from the state for the Eagle Avenue grant, but it hasn't been received yet, so it's not reported on. Because it hasn't been received yet, we have an unpaid bill of $149,000 that we haven't been able to pay the county because we don't have enough money to pay the bill. So as soon as that money comes in from the state, we'll then turn around and pay the bill. Now, it's not listed here as indebtedness because we don't have a formal agreement with a bank to have a note to pay for it. So all we have is an unpaid bill. Our indebtedness is actually zero. And many people have been impressed with a town actually not having any debt, which we don't have any debt. We try to pay all our bills with the money that comes in. What we missed on here is our contingency fund we have $15,456 in our contingency fund. So that's how much money we have basically in our savings account. So in case something happens, that's all we have. And I would like to say thank you to Jane and to Courtney for all the effort that they did in reconciling the QuickBooks and Quicken and actually being able to produce this report. So I know that this is a reconcile to the bank statement. This is a good report which shows these are all of our expenses and our revenues. So I would recommend that we approve this report. Now, does anybody have any questions? Right, anybody have any? Okay, Sharon.
Go ahead.
I was able to obtain the balance owed to the Marquette County Highway Department as of December 31st, 2024. That balance is $201,697.28. That is not reflected on here, and it should be as indebtedness at the end of year. $145,000, the highway department is waiting for, because that's part of.
That was your last administration.
Excuse me?
We're not gonna get into discussion.
Well,
This
how do we
this
know,
reconciled.
how do we know from, there hasn't been a financial, a budget report, income, expenses, nothing posted since August 31st of 2024. So, nothing for September, nothing for October, nothing for December, November, no financial reports that would show the income and expense. And Carol, I find it extremely hard for you to listen to you talk in front of everybody that we should just trust this. Because month after month, year after year, since you've been here, you've gone after every treasurer and clerk for monthly reports on income and expense, supplied you copies because you demanded it. So now, all of a sudden, it's okay now. This is not a reflection on Jane. She came in later to the game, and I understand she's working hard to put it together.
Yeah, you know what? I come in October and nothing's in there, Sharon. So the past treasurer, she didn't even work in Quicken. She worked on a spreadsheet. I had to go and put every month in. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December for 2024 in Quicken. I had to do all that, Sharon, because it wasn't there.
Excuse me.
No,
And
no excusing
Okay,
at all.
okay, all right, thank you.
She has a lot of
Sharon,
work to talk about
Sharon,
telling the board.
thank you for your comments.
I don't think anybody should approve this annual report without, with the lack of all these months of financial information. It's not acceptable.
Jane, you did a
Okay,
great
all right,
job.
thank you, Sharon. Go ahead, Bobby.
I
You
make
did a
motion
great
to
job,
approve the
Jane.
report.
I'll second it.
Wait.
I'll approve that.
Okay, this is Bobby Weiss made a motion to approve it, and Gary Schaefer made a
Gary
motion
Schaefer seconded.
to a second.
Yep.
I know, we're gonna get to that in just a second. We're letting Carrie Lee get caught up and then we can get to discussion. Thank you. Okay, and then
Okay, the discussion, we can have more discussion on that document itself. We're not gonna get into any discussion on should we or should we not have had budget reports. I do know that Jane and Courtney worked very hard to reconcile to, I know that what's in this document is backed up by what's in QuickBooks and reconciled to Quicken, because they both have to maintain their individual financial records. Jane does her books, and Courtney did her books, and they have to reconcile the two to make sure that it's accurate. I know that this document is accurate. I don't have to have a budget report that says so.
Because it corresponds with the checkbook also.
Yes, correct.
Well, where in here does it show what you owe the county?
Pardon me?
Where does it show what you owe the county?
It is not.
So,
The unpaid bill is not on there, that's why I told you about it, but it's not on the statement. It's not required to be on the statement. All we're required to put on the statement is indebtedness. And indebtedness is defined in accounting rules as where you have a note with the bank or a lending company that says, okay, you owe this money.
Are we gonna be paying interest to the county because it's not paying?
No, the county has been very involved with trying to figure out, we don't know why the state's not paying us. And it's a problem, a statewide problem when they're not paying several entities that submitted their bills and it's not being paid. So it is my plan to talk to Brian again one more time. And at the end of, this month, there is a meeting with the legislators. See if I can find out why we're not getting paid.
But it's also,
The county knows that we're not getting paid, and the county is not pushing us to pay the bill. So we've paid it, we keep continuing to pay the bill.
If you pay part of it, right?
Right, we pay part of it.
but
But
it's
we
a
have to be
receivable.
able to, we have to have money in our account to be able to pay the bill. So it wasn't until we got the January and February collections that we had some money in the account.
But it's also a receivable that we have to have, and then it's also an expenditure
Right.
that has to go out. So it's gonna go into our checkbook and right out the door.
Right, right. But this statement is, the format is not what you would typically expect with a balance sheet, with this is your receivables, this is your liabilities. We don't have, that's not what this is. This is basically a cash basis. This is how much money we took in, how much money we spent. You can actually go to a checkbook and says, this is what it is. So it's a different kind of accounting than what some of us may be thinking about.
Thank you, Carol. Any other discussion? Did you have something about the financial reports?
Yeah, I don't know if that's what she's saying that I can't talk about, but what about the meetings past that I'm looking on the agenda? And under the agenda, I find that there is no approval of the treasurer's report, so there's very little information that we can write down to show where the money has been going for that. Vouchers are listed.
And you're correct. There isn't a lot of that information, and that's why Jane spent a lot of time trying to pull together the information to say, okay, what do we have? And coming up with a report to do that.
We used to be able to monitor that as citizens from month to month. And now we can't monitor it, so now we don't know those 4 months left coming in the year.
Prior to the board where Sharon was in charge, prior to that board, there were never any reports issued. I went and checked with the
reports are on there. They're on the agenda. I looked at it. They're on there tonight. I can show them.
What report? What report?
Financial.
I asked for reports, monthly financial reports, and what I was given, and I was the only one given that report, was a copy of the bank statement reconciliation. No reports were ever published on the website or given to the general public. The voucher report was, but not a statement of your revenue and expenses.
That's not true. Carol,
I'm Sharon, you've done
okay,
talking.
it's on the website.
I'd like to
You're
call
not
for the
sure.
question.
Okay.
Call for the question.
All right, I think, Mary.
Moving forward, will the treasurer's report be on the website, please?
We haven't been able to come up with a document that we all agree is accurate, and we're working on that. And I think what Jane gave me today was something that we may be able to come up with a report.
That's
But
our
by-
goal.
But
That's
by
our
law,
goal.
by law, all we're required to give to the public is this annual financial statement. If you look at any of the other websites, the towns do not necessarily give out the information. So if you go look at the town terrace, for instance, all they do for their treasury report is say, here's your checkbook balance, and here's our savings account balance, and that's it. They don't get a report of revenue and expenses. You go look at the village, they don't give their people a report of revenue and expenses. So we're trying to work on a document that's simple enough for everybody here to look at. And I would like to see it published, but we're not at that point yet.
I don't know, we've been coming here for over 30 years, and for 30 years we've had those.
Okay, I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm just telling you when I came here, what I've been able to get. Anybody else?
Yep, go ahead, Charlene.
Income and expenses are listed on there every month. When Sharon was on there, up to that month of August, Carol always wanted all this information and requested it and everything. Now we don't get it.
We're not gonna get into this is a Carol bash. We're done.
Yeah, we're not bashing my board members or anything like that. We're just gonna.
Well,
Okay,
why did you guys report it then? It's public information.
Okay, do we have any further discussion before we vote on the financial report?
There should be a lot.
All right, so we're gonna do another raise of
hope there
hands.
is. And they
Carol,
can see
you wanna
what
help
they
me
left
count
us
those hands? Okay,
to
all in
work with.
favor of the financial report? We did have, it looks like Bobby Weiss made the motion to approve it, Gary Schaefer seconded it, and now we're gonna take a vote on it. So all in favor, please raise your hand so we can get a good count.
I
And
remember
I'm actually
that.
gonna come up here so I can
Wow, I
count the rows a
forgot
little
about
bit
that.
better.
It's the same type of shit.
Three.
Yes.
Okay. So 23 of them are in favor opposed to approving this?
What is that? What do they call that?
Oh, hallways.
Did you get 9 here?
Yes.
Crash and burn.
Passes.
So with that, the motion passes 23 to 9.
Hallways. They're all outsiders. Vote with her, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay, so the next date for the next annual meeting is gonna be, the next annual date meeting is
Probably
gonna
not.
be April 21st of 2026. And with that, we're going to adjourn the meeting at 6:41 for the annual meeting. Carol and I are gonna pick up our stuff and do a little flip flop.
Good job, Jane.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Good job. I should have said something about you. And Jane.
And Jane.
Jane whipped some ass. I'm right there with you.
No, I think that's
No, I've said that before. I hope it don't happen. Well, I hope I'm not the one that gets blamed for it.
Courtney did the cherry court. Or not the cherry court, the court.
So at the courthouse the other day. Talk about efficiency.
I feel
The reason why we were successful.
All right, I want to call the meeting to order.
Disaster
This
that
is
the last board.
the regular board meeting, April 15th, 2025. We're going to skip the pledge of allegiance because we've already done it one time. We don't need to repeat it again. Let's do roll call. You want to take the roll? Who's here? Sure. We've got, well, just Keith. Here. Carol. Here. Lindsay.
here.
Jane. Here. And Carrie Lee. Everybody's here. The next item on the agenda is public comment. We're going to give you an opportunity to raise whatever comments you have, but we are going to limit it to 20 minutes for the period because we don't want the meeting to go on forever. And we are going to be able to limit it to 2 minutes per person. So does anybody have any comments that they would like to make?
Of course. Here it is.
State your name.
Tim Martin. I would suggest with the treasurer's report, kind of coupled on the last meeting, since there's been such a big turnover of people in the last year and the new incoming town board, I would recommend probably doing an audit, independent audit.
Okay, thank you.
We cannot take action on that, but we will discuss it we'll put it on the agenda for a future meeting. Sharon?
Two key things, when you get to it, it's the Lawrence Lake Protection and Rehabilitation District.
Will you speak up so we can hear you?
I can't hear back there.
It's the actual Lawrence Lake Protection and Rehabilitation District, not the Lawrence Lake
All right,
Preservation and
we have to
Restoration. I just want to make a note of that. The other thing I would like to do is when you get to your open records request discussion, as I mentioned to Lindsay during the meeting, I'd like to have the opportunity to comment at that point in time. That's it.
I don't think we need that.
Any other comments?
I make one more. I would suggest if you're not gonna have meetings next door, invest in some sort of sound system for in here, because it's even impossible to hear people in the back. Or if you're in the back, you can't hear up front. Should do something at least.
I'm sorry, one of my sound systems.
Okay. Tim, what's yours? Mark. Bobby?
Hey, I'd also like to thank Jane Lloyd and Carrie Lee for the job they did too. Great job.
Amen.
Any other comments? All right, we'll move on to item number 5, which was to review and approve the March 17th, 2025 regular board meeting minutes.
I'd so move.
I'll second the motion to approve the town board meeting minutes.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is the chair's report. The only thing, I have nothing to report. Chair's report usually included a fire department report, but I have not been able to get that from Jason, so I have nothing to report for the fire department. And I have nothing else to report that will be addressed, that isn't going to be addressed in some other item on the agenda.
Well, we do know there were 2 big fires on Lawrence.
Yeah.
Right.
Three.
Yeah.
The next item is the clerk's report. Now, the clerk is not, Courtney was the clerk that left, and she was not able to attend the meeting today. So Carrie Lee doesn't have anything to report, but I do have some items that I think we need to follow up on. One is this thing they called ARPA. Several years ago, we received an American Rescue Plan grant that allowed us to do some work on roads and do different things. And we spent all the money right away on whatever we were allowed to do. What has happened since then is we've just learned that even though we spent it a long time ago, we have to continue to report that we spent it a long time ago. We have to report it for like another, I think, 4 years. We didn't do the report, so we're at risk of having to pay the money back. So what we want to do is to make sure that we've done that report. And here's the information that I was able to find on that report. And now I mentioned a little bit about the LRIP grant, that we're still going to try and follow up on why we're not getting the money. And I have plans to call Brian at the county to find out what's going on. If we need to go to contact our legislator, or if we have to do something.
Brian was really good with working with Courtney and myself on that, so he gets back to you pretty quick.
Right.
But he said that a lot of towns are having the issue of not receiving their money, so it's not just our town, it sounds like it's like a statewide issue.
Yeah, it was at that conference, it was
Right.
definitely brought up.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, do we need to make a motion to allow Courtney to do more time to help train Carrie Lee? Because what we did was a motion to just cover April. Now, should we also add some time for May? Because I think we have board of review coming up, and we have
I so move.
alcohol licenses that we do more training.
Okay, I'll second that motion to go through.
Not on the agenda.
Really?
Okay, we'll do it for the next agenda.
I'm sure glad that we're working together as a team. Okay, next item. The next item on the agenda for the clerk is making sure that we have all of our systems updated in terms of the change of change of officials. Like we need to make sure that that's all been done. Like Rackspace, the WTA, the website, our contact information on the website, all that should be updated. Anything else for the clerk?
Courtney had nothing. I had asked her prior to the meeting and she didn't have anything to report on.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the treasurer's report. what I would like to know is, for the treasury report, is how much money is in our checkbook balance as of March 31st?
You wanna know what's in our checkbook balance?
Yes, no, I wanna know the checkbook balance. Because I think that's important to know. The bank balance doesn't
Okay,
help.
well, okay, the checkbook balance from reconciliation is 190,742.29.
Say that again.
But there's 190,742.29. But we have unclear transactions, so that we wrote checks out for, so you understand.
You have outstanding checks.
Yes, for 1,258.69. So in our check register is 189,383.60.
89. Give me a number.
383.60.
And how much money is in our contingency fund?
15,544.07.
Any other questions for the treasurer?
Now, will we be getting any big checks? We anticipate anything?
We just got from the state on 4/7, 25,843.13. And it says for transportation aids, quarterly payment.
And that's not in the,
It is not in this.
not in your.
Right.
And I take it that we haven't received the LRIP grant yet?
We have not.
And no alert?
No. I,
LIRP?
no.
Okay, next item on the agenda is an update from Jesse Schabel. Is he here?
How's it going? Hey everybody, my name is Jesse Schabel with Hometown Community Insurance. I'm the insurance broker for the town of Westfield. Just got a couple of things with my business card here for the board. And then I just got a quick presentation. I know you guys are busy. This isn't working very well. And so I can go from there. So I took over last year. So Mike Endress was the prior agent for the.
Should we approve the treasurer's?
No, it's not required.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay, so I just took over last year for the town of Westfield. Mike was the prior agent. He's down in the Cross Plains area, so it just worked out where I have about 15 other towns and some fire departments with the same broker that that Mike had, and so he just kind of said, "You're more local. Why don't you take over the town of Westfield account?" So, like I said, I'm just the new agent here. We just got a few things that we've been working with Lindsay and Courtney to update. Here's just a kind of just a quick proposal that we can kind of go over all together. So, and I'll leave an extra one up here if anybody needs one for their own records. So here you go. Right. And so the name of the insurance company that the town uses is Continental Western Insurance Group. They have a niche in the town and municipality along with police and fire departments. So this is their specialty. They are one of actually a few companies that are still left insuring municipalities. As you can imagine, over the years, in the society we live in, a lot of companies have bowed out and said that the claims and the risk are too high, and so the number of companies insuring towns is dwindling, but we have a great option here through Continental Western. So they do the property insurance, liability insurance, as well as workers' compensation and some other things we'll go over here in a second. So what we have for I'll start with the property insurance. The property insurances are the tangible items that the town owns, the town hall, the fire station, the personal property inside, and the storage building out back. So we have the town hall building next door insured for $302,000. That's a number that we get, that the insurance company gets from entering in square footage of the building, types of materials used to build it, and that kind of thing. And so retail construction wise, they said that building's worth about $302,000. The fire station we're standing in is insured for $335,000. And we have $20,000 in contents in the town hall, $5,000 in contents here.
Can we, just so everybody, we had to change the fire station to the town hall annex building.
Gotcha.
So we can't call it the fire station anymore, so just so everybody's on the same page, that it's the
Yeah,
town
yeah,
hall
no, and I
annex
can
building.
update that language for
Thank you,
future
okay,
years.
thank
Yeah,
you, just
bet.
wanted to clarify that with everybody.
Thank you. So you called it the fire station?
The town hall annex building.
Annex, got it. Okay, perfect. Yep, I'll update that for next year.
Thank you.
Yep. And one thing that we did last year, there's a higher amount in contents coverage here, and when the fire department changes were made, we took a lot of the contents coverage out of here and lowered it down to just $5,400 for the items inside this building. So that's probably one of the most recent changes we did.
Personal property should probably be shifted from the town hall to this building though, right? 'Cause
yeah, that makes sense.
we moved everything over here.
Like all of our records.
Sure.
And moved out of that building into this building.
I would just flip those two
So all we
around.
have is basically the furniture that's in there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's in that
So that's a
building.
good solution. Keith's on to it there. If we just took all the stuff out of there and put it in here, and vice versa, I'll just switch those numbers around. So we'd have more closer to 20,000 here and just 5,000 in the building next door. So, yep. Thank you. Yep. All right, and then we got the little shed back there insured for $11,700 with a small amount of about $2,700 in contents coverage for that building. And then we have 3 piers that we added on. We have the pier, the preserve at Lawrence Lake. That pier structure is covered for $8,000. We have the north boat landing on Lawrence Lake for $10,000, and the south boat landing on Lawrence Lake for another $10,000. So those are the 3 piers that are there. If something happened where they disappeared, were destroyed by wind or whatever happened, we would pay that minus your $1,000 deductible.
Yeah, I'm just, I don't understand what it says, tenant property coverage required by lease 25,000.
Yeah, so there's just some extra coverages on the bottom. Coverage includes, so there's what's called special perils coverage, which gives you replacement cost on the buildings. Then there's equipment breakdown. If a utility that's vital to the operation of the building was to break down, like a furnace or something like that, there would be coverage for that. The public entity platinum pack is a group of endorsements that we add on to the policy that gives you coverage for things that are, I'm trying to think of, there's a couple of them, like backup of water and sewer. If the plumbing system backed up in a part of the building, that would be covered. Vinyl records are covered under that platinum pack, so if you had to replace records, that would be covered. And then there's a few other ones too. I can get you a copy of the full platinum plaque endorsement. It did come with your policy, so you guys should have a copy of it. But if you need that, I can let you know.
Would you please?
Yeah, no problem. Yep, let me just write that quick. Yep. And then the one question Carol had, there's another one written below there that says tenant property coverage required by lease if for $25,000. So that would be if you had somebody that was going to rent the building, they would be required to have insurance of some kind on their lease. But I think it would be more or less for like a long-term lease. If you have people that are coming to use the space for one day, they don't need to prove insurance unless that's in your contract or whatever it is.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So if we had, because the question is coming up as to what do we do with this building, and somebody
Sure.
would say, okay, somebody could just come in here and use it. If you're like the Lake District, come in and use the building, they're covered.
Yeah.
Now, if we rent it on short term to say Bobby wants to have an activity here,
Yeah.
and we want to rent it to him, is he covered?
So yeah, you can, there is an endorsement that I'd have to look to make sure, but if you're doing it incidentally, where it's maybe 5 times a year or less that a patron of the town wants to use it for a party or a get-together, there's no problem with that. It's public space, it's designed for that, so there is liability insurance coverage for that. If it gets to be where you're making money off of it and you're renting it every weekend, there's an endorsement for halls or banquet halls and gathering spaces or something that we can add on there so the company knows that you're doing that, and it just raise the price a little bit and charge for it. But, yeah.
So on your notes then, could you put on your notes to tell us what that might be, because the question has come up, can you do that?
Just about the hall space,
Just
sure.
about, right.
So
It
would
would
it be
be
so much per event, like?
It'd be incidental.
$300-$400?
No, it's not. It's very small. I added this to a township recently, and it made like a $200 a year difference on the entire policy. So it was very small, very incidental to do that.
So we could rent it to Bobby for $200 and be covered for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Well, I will tell you, it's very common. I know New Chester, right, has the hall next to their town hall. And I'm thinking of a few other ones that there is a nominal fee, something between $20 and $50. That's very common for townships to charge for the use of their space. So, yep. Yep.
All right, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, the next page is just called Inland Marine. Inland Marine coverage is mobile equipment, and the only thing we have listed for the town of Westfield is the voting machine, covered for $8,400. If you had to move it off premises to hold an election, you would want it to be covered, and so it's mobile property. That's why it's covered on Inland Marine and not the stationary property. Yep. The next page here is the liability insurance. The town of Westfield has $1 million per occurrence. If you had somebody come on the property, slip and fall, try to sue you guys for negligence, it would be $1 million per occurrence with a $2 million aggregate. That's the most I would pay in a calendar year. And then there is an umbrella. It's a couple pages. I'm just got a kind of spoiler alert here. A couple pages on, you'll see that there's an excess liability umbrella that sits over the top of it. So the $1 million is on the underlying, and then there's $3 million additional liability. So for a total of $4 million, $8 million would be the total amount of coverage that the town would have per occurrence. Yep. And two really nice things that come with that liability are employment practices liability. If you had an employee of the town that said they were dismissed for wrongful termination, there'd be coverage for that. That's employment practices of the town. There's liability insurance to cover the board in the town for that. And then arguably the most important one is next, is public officials liability. That's to protect the board themselves. They're up here, kind of doing a service for the community, and they personally could be sued if something happened where they made a decision that affected people and somebody brought a suit. So this brings $1 million in coverage to personally defend the board members if they were sued. Yep. And there's also a liability enhancement endorsement that I'll send, so you guys have a copy of that. Yep. One more piece of the liability is hired and non-owned liability for your auto insurance. So if the board members, or really a town employee, anybody was using their personal vehicle for town business, we would pay up to $1 million in liability if they hit somebody and hurt them or damage their vehicle. And so if they're on the way to a meeting, they get in an accident and hurt someone, the people find out that they're on the way to the town of Westfield meeting, we would be able to pay up to $1 million in auto liability to protect them. This does cover those folks' vehicles as well. If you hit a deer, we pay this one actually a couple times a year because deer are prevalent in our area. If you guys hit a deer on the way to a meeting, you file it with your own insurance company. They pay everything. You bring us proof that claim was settled, and this company will reimburse the deductible for the board members. So they'll even pay for your vehicles. So
Pretty good in this town.
Yep. Yeah. So it is I'll just quick stat. For every 7 claims we pay on the auto in the state of Wisconsin, 6 of them, I should say in Marquette and Adams County, not Wisconsin, 6 of them are deer hit claims. So I would say 80% of every claim we pay is related to animal exposure. So, yep. We talked about the umbrella, the $3 million umbrella. That's an absolute necessity in today's age to increase your liability from 1 to 4. The next part on that page is the workers' compensation. In the state of Wisconsin, you're required to have work comp if you have employees that you pay. So the town has close to 51 or 52,000 in total payroll between volunteer fire department, that would have been last year, clerical, and then municipal employees. So a total of about 50,000 in payroll is what.
You're taking the volunteer fire department will be taken off.
Exactly.
Is that done as a part of an audit?
Correct, yep.
And when's that audit due?
Actually, Courtney just finished the audit. We just got it done in the last couple of days. It took a long time to get that done, but they got it done and we sent it in. Everything's been processed. And next year, when we do the audit, that code won't be on there because you won't have that payroll. So, yep, they catch it on the audit.
So that when you talk about clerical municipal employees, it's separating the board members from the clerk and treasurer, is that how that works?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not sure where the line is there. Clerical employees would basically be, office only, and then municipal employees would be more or less like, I'm thinking, and I will tell you too, the rate is very similar to those. I looked at that, and they're separated by 20 cents, so they're very, very close in price. But the municipal employees would be more, handling official town business, maybe outside of the meetings, and so maybe that's what you're thinking.
Would that be like election workers maybe, or like election and stuff like that?
I'm not sure. All we have are election workers and then the 5 guys.
Okay, and this audit was done. I'm trying to think. So this was before the audit was done, and so this would have been the payroll on the renewal insurance policy that was done. I think it was in February 5th was the renewal for the town of Westfield's workers' compensation, and anything that happened last year was on here, and then anything going forward, we can correct if we need to. So
would that be part of what the town fire department pays? Our percentage of the clerical workers there?
It has nothing to do, we have nothing to do with the fire department.
Yeah, well, and it's mostly just for the books. So what we audit on the work comp is the town of Westfield's payroll book. So we got the information from Courtney, and this was before that.
So it would only have been our
correct.
Our salaries,
Yep.
and then the election workers. Because that's the only payroll that we made to individuals.
Right. Sounds good.
So it's a classification thing.
Yep. And the work comp, we have no, looks like that is $2,200 a year. That rate is set by the state of Wisconsin. Whether you have, 10 different insurance companies, the rate's exactly the same. And like I said, the rate's all set by them. So the only thing that can change the rate is payroll differences that would hopefully we can get that all figured out. So, yep. And then the bottom line, the last page is just a premium summary. We're talking a lot about numbers tonight. So the total annual premium for the property, liability, umbrella, everything is $6,029 a year. The workers' compensation is $2,200. It's a total package of about $8,500 or $8,300 a year. So, yep, and that's what the overall premium would be. And we go every year after Continental Western, and I ask them, keep the rate as best as we can. Townships, municipalities don't have a lot of disposable income, obviously. They run the budgets very, very, close. And this year we've been seeing increases in the, 4 to 7% range, which is the best we've seen in probably 5 years. So they're still going up a little bit, but I'm hoping that it's starting to level off a little bit. So, yep.
So do we have a bill coming, and do we need to approve this renewal so that you can bill us, or how does that?
I do believe that it's already been paid, to be honest with you. I'd have to look back in our management system at the office, but because this bill is the renewal, is it?
Okay, so we don't have to do anything more.
Not necessarily, not tonight. Yep, I was just kind of coming for informational purposes and see if anyone.
I appreciate the
yes. Yep. Any questions for me or?
No, looks good, Jesse.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'll get back to you guys with a couple of things we talked about today and go from there. So.
Okay, next item on the agenda is to review and approve the vouchers. Where the voucher?
I think they were back there.
They were back there, yep.
There are vouchers back there?
Yep.
Okay. motion to?
I'll make a motion to approve. I've already signed mine.
I'll second the motion to approve.
And what we should have on the motion is specifically identify the April 25th meeting in the amount of $22,171.28. Any discussion? You do have a note to send a copy of the lawyer?
Okay, I thought it was like earlier than that.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next item on the agenda is the barricades at Ellis Lake Access on Dalkey Avenue. You have-
Yep, and those have been removed, and you guys will just let us know if there's any further issues, I'm assuming, and just keep us in the loop about things, so. I appreciate the time that you guys gave us to get those out of there and everything else, so.
So this can go off the agenda?
Yep, so this should be removed, because that's all taken care of.
Next item on the agenda is renting.
Oh, yeah. Is that for real? It is?
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, next item on the agenda is renting town buildings. You have thoughts on renting the town buildings? I'm not sure.
So I think, where were we at with that last month?
I think you were checking into
The one
the
question I
insurance.
know was checking into what it costs insurance wise.
Yeah.
Right, right.
What you just
And
did.
I guess he'll give us the quote on that, so maybe we'll just table that then again until we get the quote.
Well,
Well, he said it's
200.
I think it's more than just getting the quote for insurance. I think what we have to have is because all these different towns are doing it, I think we need to come up with a draft policy that says, who is it gonna be rented to? Is it just the town residents? Are we going to be charging a fee to do it? Are we gonna be putting a deposit down? Who's gonna be doing the cleanup? Who's gonna be giving?
We need a contract.
Yeah, right, so there's a whole lot of stuff that needs to be done, so I don't know.
Well, let's just move on, but just say, we need to develop a contract.
Well, a policy and.
Yeah, that's a policy.
And a contract, yeah.
I mean, you want people to sign it.
So would you like to take the lead on finding out what's being done in other townships?
I can reach out to other townships and see what they're doing and see if they have like a draft contract or something, or a contract that they're willing to let us see and kind of go from there.
Okay.
I've got something I want to say to that.
Okay, Mabel, make it quick.
Really?
Yeah.
I think with the turmoil in this township, and it's nasty turmoil, everybody hates everybody else at some point in their life here lately. I think holding off on this town building, renting it, should be held off for about 3 to 4 months.
Well, that's a good point. What I also need to tell people is that
If somebody
by law, the renting of this town building cannot be done by the town board. It has to be done by the citizens at a town meeting where the citizens say at a town meeting how the building should be used. So they would have to go to that, but before I would take it to a town meeting, I would want to have a draft policy written up that says, do we want to do this or not? Or
Why
this
don't you wait 4 months or so and take another look at it? I think with all the hatred in this township right now, and everybody checking doors that don't need to be here checking doors, or somebody that's not locking these doors, I don't know, I'm not involved, I don't really care, but I think until the turmoil calms down in this township, I think it should be held off. Because I think it's just gonna create more and more, well, he said, she said, I said, oh, that's not right, this is, and that's the way I feel.
So you want to, I think please do some research on it.
I was gonna say, I could take a couple months to kind of look through things.
A decision has to be tabled anyway.
Okay.
Okay, we don't have an update on the.
I like to listen, how about that? Why don't you shut up so I can listen? No, you shut up so I can listen.
I like
You
it.
have an off button?
Who is it?
You have an off button?
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to civil. Next item on the agenda is an update on the gov request. Do we have any information on that?
I don't have any information on that. I think as far as I know, they were moving forward with it. I don't know.
But Courtney's not here, so we don't have.
Right, so yeah, we don't really have anything else as far as, and she normally sends me stuff, and she hasn't sent me anything since prior to the last meeting, so I guess I don't have anything
So
either.
you want to follow up with Courtney on where we're at on that?
She had to get a something.
Next item on the agenda is building cleaning. My understanding is that we were going to do some research.
So Courtney reached out to, I believe it was Megan from the town of Springfield, and they had always just hired a responsible high school student that wanted to make a little bit extra money, and they paid him $45 to clean. However, it sounds like there's somebody who lives, and I don't know who it is, who lives nearby the town hall. Sounds like it's an older lady maybe that just wants something to do in her spare time, and now she cleans the town hall again for $45. And then I think the town of Harris was, what were they paying? Were they paying $40? I have notes on that somewhere in here. So it sounds like a lot of different towns are paying for somebody to come in and clean, even if it's just like a quick little cleaning. And a lot of people say it's like the week before a meeting or an election or something like that. This way it's just picked up really nice.
I think it needs to be outlined what you want them to do though.
Right, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Have you guys asked like Julie Barris, because I know she does like the post office, she does a lot of businesses in town and.
Okay, the town of Harris pays $50 a month, so around $50 is what people are paying.
You get some extras, right?
Do it, Rick, do it.
Right, Ed? What are your thoughts on what we should do?
I think we should just look for somebody to you know, get a job description and then ask and find someone who's willing to do it for that $45 or $50.
Yeah.
Carrie, Lee, did you want to kind of come up with a job description maybe, and we'll just kind of type something out and see if there's anybody who wants to take that job and.
I can give you the number of a person who actually cleans.
Okay, yeah, I mean, then we can reach out to a couple of them and see and.
I know she normally charges more, but I can ask if she would be willing to do a friend discount.
Sure, there you go.
So you want to take, between the two of you, you want to take the.
Sure.
What are we looking at? Is it an hour job?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
$50 a month?
I would think.
Yeah.
You know, and she's a professional cleaner, so. Okay, next item on the agenda is to update the signatories on the bank accounts. What we currently have in terms of the banking arrangement is that 3 people have to sign the checks, and right now, those 3 people are Lindsay, Jane, and
What's Courtney?
Courtney. So what we have to do now is, because we have the new election, we have to change the signatories on that account. So what we need is a motion to,
I move to update and remove Courtney and add.
so we want to do it very specific on, these are the 3
Yeah.
positions, and these are the 3 names.
Okay.
Okay. So you have the, all right, so
So
you,
be Carrie Lee.
Keith made the motion. I'll second the motion.
Carol.
And I know when we went through this the last time, the bank wanted it spelled out like chairperson is this person, clerk is this person, and treasurer is this person. And you have to put it in there that like Courtney and myself will be removed. Like
Okay.
if it's not, it's a disaster.
Yeah, gotcha. And
Yeah.
all of that has to be put in the minutes.
Oh, you have to take yourself off and then put yourself back on?
No, so Carol's chair now, so I'll be removed, and then Carol will take over.
Okay. So we've got,
There's still 3 authorized.
Yes, mhm. Got those three rules.
Three authorized people, their position and their names, and remove two people by name.
Okay, so okay, let's just go through it one more time. We are removing Courtney. And, Lindsay. All right, and you made the motion.
I would make the motion.
Yes, we just want to make sure that your name is in the motion. And you have the rules. All right, is there a second on the motion?
I'll second the motion to remove myself and Courtney, and then add Carrie Lee, Carol, and then James Arpaio.
They did.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now what has to happen with this is you have to print out the minutes, and then one of us has to take the minutes to the bank for them to do the paperwork.
Okay.
But it has to be official minutes that we have to do them in copy.
Okay.
Yeah. Next item on the agenda is to appoint a town board representative to the North Lake PRD district. Right now, currently, I am the board representative on this district committee. There are 3 members from the district that are elected each year or within their terms, and then John Bennett is on that same committee as the county board representative. So I've been doing it for now for 2 years. There are 4 quarterly meetings that discuss the Lake District activities.
You want to remain?
Sure. Now, the question, now, Sharon did ask to speak up about this topic when it came up, so Sharon, what would you like to say?
Actually, I just asked to speak about the open records request. And
Okay.
I corrected the name of the district. And it typically is the county chairperson bureau who sits on board. They use different times because we have 3 people in different positions.
So the town board gets to choose who should be represented.
I'll make a motion just to leave Carol Golish on for the town representative for the Lawrence
Okay,
Lake.
it's motion to appoint.
Motion to appoint Carol. I'll second it.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the catalyst. So that passes?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next item on the agenda is Catalyst MNDA. It's a mutual non-disclosure agreement, and this document is what we have to sign with the, I think it's Catalyst Company, and what does it do for the treasurer?
It's, all the taxes are run through them. So you, when you pay your property taxes or your pet license, it all goes through Catalyst.
Okay.
So that's how it goes through.
Okay, so.
So it's the software for the property taxes collection.
Okay, so we need to have a motion to approve this non-disclosure agreement so we get our taxes billed each year.
I'd so move.
I'll second.
Carol seconded.
I second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item, you ready? Next item on the agenda is the open records request discussion. I asked to have this discussion put on the agenda because we did receive two record requests. One was verbal and one was written, and it's absolutely imperative that record requests be responded to in a timely manner. So I would like to know what we've done, and I know what some of the stuff that's been done, and there's other stuff I know that hasn't been done. So what I want to do is just, for the record, bring us up to speed on what happened and then make sure it's in the minutes. The first thing, the one request that came in was a verbal request for a copy of the blueprints for the Lawrence Lake Dam. When we got the request, it's like, okay, we cannot respond to that request. We can't make copies of it because we don't have the ability to do it. So instead of making copies, what we did is the requester came in, we pulled the blueprints out, because the blueprints are like this big, and there's like 15 pages of, so we pulled them out and laid them on the table so that the requester could review them. And by law, that's appropriate action. However, the requester did not like that and insists on it, insists on putting it in the minutes that for the Lake District that we did not respond to the request. And I just want to let people know that we did respond to the request according to the law. The second request for information was for the town of Westfield to provide financial records. And in me, the second request was a written request for 7 different items, financial records and bank statements and information on the transportation aids. I do know that Courtney responded almost immediately with electronic versions of items 3 through 7. Items 1 through 2, which are the financial reports that were talked about, we're not going to be able to respond to that request because the records are not available. There are no records to respond. So I talked to Jane about it, and Jane will send an email to the requester saying records are not available, therefore we're not going to respond. Okay, the others, were there no records available? 1 and 2? And Jane will send a written response. But when we get these responses, and I think we need to respond immediately, or if there's an issue with it, we should discuss being able to respond.
Do we have a date?
The date of the letter was March 17th, and generally you have 10 days to respond. There are reasons why you wouldn't respond within that 10 days. For example, if it requires a whole lot more research to find it, or...
And do we have a date in which Courtney responded to that?
No, I do not.
Shirley, I can come and get you that date.
She responded real quickly.
Yeah, I think it was within like a week.
Okay, and then I can just add it to the minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is...
I had asked them.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Courtney did do a great job.
Well, give me just 1 second to catch up on.
we're good to go.
Courtney did a great job in giving me the bank statements. Obviously, if you are not going to prepare financial reports for the citizens, that should have been reported to me. You're required to respond to an open records request within 10 days. If you weren't going to respond, I should have been notified that there was a delay or there weren't records available or something. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So that is an issue. The other one is that I asked to view documents back in that building. As a commissioner for the Lake District, we have a shelf in there that we paid for. We have some things in there, and there's a long box. What would you call it? Tupperware?
Sure, okay, like a tote, yeah.
Yeah, and there's records in here that are mixed in with town records that would allow me to see if there was anything in there having to do with dry hydrant at the dam that failed when the fire occurred. So I asked to view those items. This was at the request of Fire Chief Jason Stoffer. And I think it's important to note that if we can't view our records, we have a serious issue.
You could have asked to view if there was other ones. I guess I found the first one, and I was in a meeting myself that night.
I am.
So if you, and there was other people here too that saw that you viewed them, which is great.
Yes.
But I guess if it wasn't the one you were looking for, I could have dug deeper into it. But that's the one that I found, and I thought it was the only one, and that's the one. So if you're still looking for one, by all means, I would love to help you out. So just let me know, and we can definitely work something out.
We have a team, but we needed other routes, and Carol mentioned that the Lake District brought up the subject. And part of the problem is that she initially indicated she knew nothing about it. And then the board questioned for.
Right, your time is up.
Changes
Your
to it.
time is up.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to the next item on the agenda. Security cameras.
So I had asked for that one to go on after the election. I had gotten a phone call and I couldn't be here the election day because I was on the ballot. And it looks like there was somebody who, if you look at the doors, they're still, we didn't do anything with them. It looks like somebody tried to take a crowbar to the town hall doors. Why somebody would want to do that, I pray it was not a town citizen that wanted to do that, because why would you destroy something that you will be paying on? Just my opinion. However, and now it's even more alarming that we have town citizens trying to gain access and magically finding a door that's open. I think we need to do something about it and get some sort of security cameras around here. But that, and so I don't know why we would just like test random doors to see if they're unlocked, but I don't know if maybe something happened in the town hall. I don't know who wanted something from the town hall. There's nothing over there. If you do want something, come and ask us and we'll be happy to get it to you.
And this has been discussed with, I've talked to other people now, would you be willing to lead a committee to take a look at, this is what we need, this is what would be good for security cameras?
I kind of walked around and looked, and I think we need like 5 cameras, and we can run them, they can be battery operated, you know. Beam works good, you know, a lot of us have it at our own homes, and it works good, and it will store the pictures, and not be a problem.
So you can put together a proposal. No, I think Gary Schaefer volunteered to help do some of that research for you.
I'm gonna call on Gary.
And I think, I talked to Jimmy Johnson, and there's electrical things that are
Don't need
involved.
electric.
Okay. And if you have anybody else would like to volunteer and help out?
I've got someone else.
Maybe even to go off of John Fulmer from earlier, this backlight, maybe we could do it as like a security motion light where like a light will pop on if there's a motion or something like that. That might be better for that too. So I don't know if you can look into, if you said Bing, Blink?
Bing.
Bing, okay.
Simply safe.
Okay, if they would have something like that, that's more of like a security camera that just comes on, like the light comes on or whatever, but.
Or you can just get a solar motion detection light.
Yeah, you can do that too, for sure.
That's what I have at home, it comes on.
So you could bring something to the next meeting?
I'll take care of it.
Do we need a motion to have them look into that at all? No, okay.
No, we have to have as a motion to purchase it,
Okay,
but not to.
look into it.
Research.
Not for
Perfect.
research. Okay, next item on the agenda is upcoming meeting dates. I want to report that the Wisconsin Towns Association has a lot of things that they do for the towns to help us out. And what they're doing they're doing a WTA road school on April 21st to the 23rd of this year, and I've registered for it, and what they'll do at the school is give us information on how we should be assessing our roads, how do we know what we should or should not do to the roads, those kinds of things. So I plan on attending that. We have on April 28th, we have a WTA unit meeting, and this unit meeting is where the town officials for Marquette County all get together and discuss whatever issues are applying to the towns. And right now, because we're going into a legislative session, we're getting into a lot of discussion on what do we need to do legislatively to help the towns.
That's a Monday morning?
That's a Monday, April 28th. At 6 o'clock is the meal, and they always have good food. And at 7 o'clock is the meeting, and it's going to be held at the Pequawki Town Hall. You don't have to register to go to it, you just, basically you just attend.
How big is the lobby?
Thanks. Then we also have on April 30th, we're going to have Capitol Day. And this is where the WTA officials meet with the legislators and meet with different various town officials to talk about specifically the legislative issues that are coming up in the next biennial budget, such as transportation is a big one, trying to get more money for transportation. And I have registered to attend that. So did you get the Capitol Day thing? Did you get the Capitol Day thing? No.
I don't know that I did. I may have kind of breezed over it.
If you go on to WTA, they'll have it on that site. And then we have Board of Review meeting is coming up on May 7th. There's some very specific things that you have to do, like through open book, and then you have to go through different things for assessment. There is
This is all about your taxes.
something posted on the board out here. It's also posted on the website. This is what you have to do if you're interested in doing anything related to Board of Review and your tax bill. And then our next regular board meeting will be May 19th in this building. We have a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
I'll second the motion to adjourn at 7:38.
And it's still light out.